So those people who emphasize political civil rights, their focus is criticizing North Korean regime, and major activity is flying the balloons with flyers, leaflets that exposes the Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un's all the bad behaviors, and while they think giving food aid to North Korea will only help the North Korean regime to prolong its oppressive regime, and it's harmful for North Korean human rights. While those people in the humanitarian camp, they really worked hard to provide food aid and demand the government to more actively provide humanitarian assistance. And they think that is really will help North Korean regime to reform sometime, not immediately. And these two approaches are related to more broader North Korea policy. So on the one hand, there is sunshine policy or engagement policy, and more hardline approaches that emphasize sanctions. And thus, proponents of sunshine policy emphasize the sanctions and the hardline approach will only increase military tension and the probability of military conflict or even war. And it comes from since South Korea is far superior to North Korea, this is based on North Korea is not a real security threat. So if only, but there can be one security threat. So when you chase a dog, if you chase the dog to the dead end, then dog may turn back to you and bite you. So before the hardline approach may result, before the regime collapse, they may use their nuclear weapons and whatever provocations, even if they know they will be defeated. The better approach is to help North Korea to reform, like China or Vietnam, and reminds China we probably would not have opened up without Nixon's rapprochement with China. But the hardline approach is accuse sunshine policy, or the approach of previous two liberal governments by Kim Dae-jung and Roh Moo-hyun. It's just unilateral giving, and only the cash will help the regime to develop nuclear weapons. And the problem is, so both approaches, it's hard to prove or disprove. Especially there has not been sufficient coordination. When South Korean government pursued the sunshine policy, Bush administration didn't cooperate. And when even now it's probably better coordination. But anyway, both approaches didn't have sufficient time and coordination. So there is a coordination between Myanmar and U.S. government, but China provides aid and trade. So neither approach has not been consistently pursued with coordination. And there is an issue of North Korea Human Rights Act. The United States enacted North Korean Human Rights Act in 2004, I think. And there is such demand from those who emphasize political and civil rights within South Korea. But the previous Liberal government was reluctant, and even under Lee Myung-bak government, the law has not been enacted so far. And the government and the ruling party says it is because of opposition, the liberal opposition parties' opposition to the law. But you know, when the ruling party has some real important agenda, they push it through the National Assembly, even when opposition strongly, fiercely opposes. So critics says is the ruling party is does not have a strong will. So let me briefly. I try to present two consulting views as objectively as possible. Let me share some of my experience and thoughts. So I lived in a regime which is not as harsh as the Kim Jong-il regime, but somewhat similar. So I lived under the Yushin regime of Park Geun-hye and the Chun Doo-hwan regime, which didn't, we didn't have a political and civil rights. So we could not criticize the government. We could not criticize the constitution unless you did not have courage to go to prison. So if I were in North Korea, I am quite likely to be in concentration camp. But one problem is that at the time, North Koreans sent leaflets about the South Korean regimes, all the bad things. And those leaflets were embarrassing to us. So when we found the leaflets, I usually just threw it away. Because if I tell it, and if I am caught by the police, I will be accused of sympathizing with North Korea. And even it's possible, not just me and my colleagues may be accused of involving in anti-dictatorship movement in connection with North Korea. So I will be in a bigger trouble. So oftentimes North Korea's those kind of propaganda and some related events, rather than helping South Korea's democratization movement, actually it hurt. So I'm actually a bit skeptical about that approach. Also, so one of the most respected activists in the field of North Korean human rights within South Korea, I think, is Venerable Bum Yoon. He's one of the guys who really concerned about both issues, who are engaged in both issues. But he is more focused on humanitarian aid. But he also does not shy about criticizing North Korea's violation of human rights, including civil political rights. That's why both North Korean regime and the South Korea's conservative regime do not like it. like it. So, one thing is why there are two related, actually one question. Why both South Korea and North Korea had a long time period of dictatorship, and why North Korea still continues dictatorship, even dynastic successions, while South Korea made a transition to democracy. That's quite related with the security threat. So South Koreans, by the time of 1987, many South Koreans thought now security threat is not a big problem because South Korea is much stronger in economically, also diplomatically and everything. But in North Korea, security threat is a real threat for the regime. And you know, both the Kim Jong-il, Kim Il-sung regime and the Park Chung-hee, Chun Doo-hwan regime, they put priority on regime survival than people's welfare or even people's lives. So Chun Doo-hwan did not hesitate to kill hundreds of civilians when people in Gwangju made a uprising against the military takeover. And you know, Kim Jong-il's priority was military and nuclear, rather than helping group of people escaping famine. So I think those kind of considerations make me that the political civil rights and the democratization will be a more long project, which will be done eventually by North Korean people. So probably this is too early to have real probability, real possibility of doing that. So probably we need to be more concerned about what we can do to help North Korean people survive from the food crisis. Thank you.
So we'll take questions as long as people want to ask them. Not that we'll necessarily have answers to everything. It's a complex place. We'll stay advantage of that.
Yeah. So why doesn't China see North Korean refugees as political refugees when they are politically persecuted within their country?
Yeah, well, we've said that very strongly in print and tried to criticize the Chinese for doing that. I think that the Chinese concerns are multiple. Remember that China's sitting on the North Korean border, right? So a lot of their concerns, I think, are very practical. They're concerned that if they say that people leaving North Korea are refugees, that you're going to have a flood of refugees. And so they've very strongly resisted providing any support for for example, the UN High Commission on Refugees, which has wanted to establish a presence in China near the border, and has said to the Chinese, look, we're not interested in you having to absorb these refugees. We'll help resettle them in third countries, but allow us to make the refugee determination. And I think that they're concerned in the first instance that the designation of these people as refugees will increase the flood of people across the border. But I think there's a deeper issue with China, which is they're very concerned about the fact that they themselves have got a human rights problem. And that by acknowledging the human rights problem in the DPRK, in a sense, they're also turning the spotlight on their own human rights issues. But I think that the first concern is probably the dominant one, is the concern that if they acknowledge these people. So this also